Hello, good morning, everybody. My name's Mark. I'm a senior lecturer here at UWA, and who else is joining us?
Thomas? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
my name is Thomas. I'm also a senior lecturer at UWA, and I'm the genetics major coordinator as well.
And I'm Heng. I'm also a senior lecturer here and future fellow, a research fellow.
Obviously this is an opportunity for you to ask any questions about studying genetics specifically, so feel free to put your question in the Q&A window and we will endeavour to answer it. In the meantime, I thought we could just have a little discussion over what it's like to actually study genetics specifically here, what the kind of course structure looks like, and what kind of topics we cover, and So my understanding is, Thomas, we start off with an introductory level 1 set of units that's common to a number of science bachelors.
Yes, that's correct. Usually involves in second semester a unit called molecular biology of the cell, which is common to many life science majors like biochemistry, genetics, and so. And that requires usually as prerequisites a knowledge in chemistry and biology, which can be done in semester 1 if it's not been done as ATA. Yeah, the other thing I want to say, you can also ask questions about the molecular life sciences double major and combined bachelor and masters.
Okay, here I think we see already some questions coming in. The first question is, what is the difference between studying the genetics major in the Bachelor of Biomedical Science degree versus a Bachelor of Science degree? Is one better than the other in terms of career opportunities? What do you reckon, Mark?
Sorry, all right, I've just found that question. Okay. Oh no, it's disappeared. Can I see it? Oh, here we go. Right. Look, I suppose it depends on if you've already got an interest in the human sciences, essentially, and medical directions. And to be honest, that's a very important part of the genetics course, is applying our knowledge to human medicine. So if you've already got that sort of idea in mind for your career, then probably it makes more sense to focus on that, because you will cover more specific stuff related to biomedicine than you would in the general Bachelor of Science genetics course. The genetics course for the Bachelor of Science is quite general in nature, and would give you a training in the fundamentals of genetics that you could then apply to almost any field of employment, whether that's agriculture or breeding or biomedicine. But I think it depends on how excited you are already. Thomas.
The good news about UWA is that you don't really have to make up your mind until the end of first year, because what you will do is you will study in principle the same kind of topics, more or less. There's a bit of choice, so you might like to take as a biology unit ANHB 1101, which is human biology, more or less, instead of more generic biology, which you could take as well. But you don't fix your majors really until the end of year 1. So there's no big problem if you want to swap around.
Right, so you could start with a Bachelor of Science and then move. Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah, I think in terms of the genetics discipline itself, I guess at the molecular, at the DNA level, it is broadly applicable across all organisms, right? And then increasingly become more and more specialized as you go to level 2 and level 3. Cool. And what other questions we have? From Kynan. Hi, am I able?
I just answered this. The student needs an ATA of 80, and then they can come in. So I don't know what the results are of this particular student.
So ATA of 80 for double major in genetics and biochemistry.
Yep.
Yeah.
For year, but it's for year 11 results. So just a comparable to that.
Yeah, I didn't see the results, so I can't comment on that. So the next question, is it possible to complete a Master's of Biotechnology if you do an individual major in genetics, or is it better to complete the molecular life sciences double major? Well, you can do a Master's of Biotechnology if you come from genetics, as far as I understand it. But the Molecular Life Sciences double major gives you a much deeper training in the sciences which are important for any kind of Master's in biological sciences. So I hope that is, oops, I didn't press that button. So yeah, again, I have to repeat that. You can do a Master's of Biotechnology if you come from a genetics major, but you get a much deeper training if you do the Molecular Life Sciences double major, because you're not just doing genetics, you're doing also biochemical units and other units.
Okay, and Tristan's asking about the focus of the Molecular Life Sciences double major. Now, it does cover, to my knowledge, and I better pull up the slide here, unless you know off the top of your head, Thomas, I think it does cover a lot of agriculture and plant biology as well, right? And
well, the double major covers almost everything you would do in the single major genetics and biochemistry, but you get also soil sciences in, so you get plant biology into it, and also something like fisheries. And the reason these things are in, you get some industrial training in there as well, and these kind of things. So you're not just doing a pure biochemistry genetics double major, you have a lot more to it.
all right, and so he's wondering if it's better to study a human biology ATAR or biology ATAR along with chemistry. And my suspicion is it doesn't matter.
No, I think biology gives you just a much broader training, while human biology will be quite focused.
Yes.
It goes deeper in human.
I think it's useful to have.
Do we have to put answer live in here?
No, I think that will be answered live. Yeah. Mark, I think it's worth still sharing the screen for the major in the one page.
With the genetics. So if you guys...
genetics and molecular life science double major, I guess we could talk about the two.
Yes, I will have to pull that up.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I can answer, what are the opportunities to be involved in research in the genetics major at UWA? So there are a lot of opportunities to do research. So I think this morning, Martha also mentioned during our virtual tour, so UWA is considered a research intensive university. There's a lot of active research going on. A lot of times we have undergraduate students who love to volunteer to do additional research as well. And I believe in level 3, there are opportunities for them to do a research project. Am I right?
Yeah, it is correct. You can obviously you do a lot of training in laboratories during year 1, 2, and 3. It gets more and more intense the higher up you go, so you get more hours and more complicated access to laboratory equipment and technologies. But you can also do work in laboratories during semester breaks. You just have to contact us academics and ask for a project, and very often we have one available. And there are also sometimes scholarships around which you can apply for.
Yeah, so the lecturers often would make use of their research projects as examples in the lectures as well, and often introduce themselves about a little bit about their research during the lectures. So if you find the research interesting, you can always approach the lecturers. And of course, we have the honors program. If you find that research is what you like and want to have one whole year of research experience going, and that will be, I think, the way to go.
All right. Is there another question, or shall I show the molecular?
There's a question about opportunities to be. No, sorry. Can you get into a genetic counselor career by just completing an undergrad degree, or is it best to do a master's degree as well? And I think I don't really know the answer there.
I believe. If I might be wrong, but yeah. Again, I think this is genetic counseling needs a master degree. Yeah,
I think it's quite
currently it's not offered by UWA yet, but I've heard that this is where the medical faculty and the health department are setting up at the moment for a master's in genetic counseling. I've heard of students who have then did a major in genetics here and went on to do a master's in genetic counseling in University of Melbourne, for example.
We have to wrap up the session. It's finished. So I think you can go to the discussion board and you can talk to people from the faculty if you have more questions. And we have to say goodbye. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, everyone. I know it was brief. Bye-bye.
Very brief. Thanks.